Greetings to all, and welcome to Tahiti Monday, Marbles on Stream Tilted. This is the second video of our Know Your Tiles series, featuring the second half of the early grays, the light early grays, levels 8 through 15. If you haven't already watched the first video of this series, please do so, as these videos will be cross-referential. That being said, let's get into it. We'll start off with our usual disclaimer. These are not the official names of the tiles, just the names of the tiles that we use on our stream and in this Tahiti Monday series. So please be advised as you go from stream to stream. While the starting tile has not changed, there are now 3 new finishing tiles. The left, right, and center finishing tiles all no longer have walls on the back, and the left and right finishing tiles do not have a wall on the side nearest to the wind bin. What you'll likely notice next is that there are now tiles that have been modified from the previous difficulty, but still relatively the same. These include the flat piece, the narrower piece, the crescent, octagon, and square piece, all now with openings on those side walls. One of the new variables you'll be coming across is height, a third dimension to the tilting, now involving the slope tile, the rolling hill tile, the even hill tile, and the volcano tile. Finally, there are 6 new obstacle tiles, including the crescents, plural, the octagons, plural, the divider room, the X room, the left-right piece, and the parallels. As is the case with every jump in difficulty, there are a lot of new techniques and strategies required for these new tiles. Let's go over a couple of the more difficult ones in detail. Even hills are very useful tools. You can use them to correct a non-straight grouping of marbles into a straight grouping of marbles simply by being off to one side of center and holding a single directional. As the marbles go across the hills, they will realign into a straight line to be used for the rest of the map. Another use for even hills is correcting around an obstacle into a small lane. You can get around the obstacle and then use the correcting nature of the hills to get you right in the middle with very minimal side input. Just make sure you're holding forward the whole time to make sure you get across both hills. Another helpful tile is the parallels. There are 2 types of parallels, those that go with your moment of direction and those that go against your direction. And it's all about knowing how to navigate these particular tiles and how they combo with other tiles. It's very easy to correct on the fly without stopping by just doing a slight corrective bounce to one side or the other and then getting the board straight before release to get your clumped marbles into a straight line so that you can get through the rest of the course. Senshin calls these friendly fingers when they go with you and unfriendly fingers when they go against you, which is a very good name, but I like to call them parallels. So use them as you can to get those corrective bounces on the fly. Divider rooms are also very friendly tools, related to the crescent, but a little trickier to get through. In the earlier levels, you have full wall enclosures around the divider rooms, which lets you collect into the corner very easily, no matter your scatter or your speed. Even if you have a very bad line coming into a divider room, you can collect on both sides of that initial divider and get yourself straight in to the room. It does not have to be perfect. Any scatter split in the middle, just let go of the keys, let the marbles stop on the sides, and then pick one side or the other and just hold the directional for all the marbles to correct in on those lines. Now in the future, those side walls will have openings in them and eventually just not be existent at all. In this case, there's a very sly trick you can implement to get yourself a little more control on these divider rooms. You'll go through the entire divider room, and as long as the piece after it has a little bit of space, you can actually hold back and correct a little bit on the opposite direction that you're coming in from and get everyone right back into the center of the back side of the divider. That's going to give you not the best straight line, but all marbles clumped in the same orientation, giving them a good line of momentum to get through the rest of the track. There is a second trick you can utilize, getting into even more dicey situations, in which case the second tile after is not conducive to stretching out a little bit further in the initial line. This one takes a little more finesse to implement, and you do want to be closer into a better straight line than the last approach. Get in with a little bit of speed, not too much, and you can actually stop on that front wall before you advance further into the divider room. Holding down and forward is going to give you a very good slow stop on that wall, allowing you to peel around it, hitting the second divider, and then getting your marbles around into the back line. If a marble goes too far, don't worry. The back side of those second dividers will get your marbles stopped, and then you can slow peel them back into the divider and keep on going through the rest of the map. So these are very useful rooms to utilize for very long throughout the game. Almost as good as crescents, and definitely a piece you want to get familiar with as you go through tilting. Slope tiles can be a little tricky as they're very hard to correct side to side as you go across. The trick is to line it up before you go across. That way you don't have to worry about correcting as you go down. Use the stripes to your advantage to line your marbles up exactly where you want them to be, and then go down the tile once you're ready to go. Volcanoes might be some of the more difficult tiles to manage in the early grays. One thing to keep in mind about volcanoes is that they are not just hills, but think of them more as bowls. These shapes at the top of the volcano cause the marbles to go around, much like you would go around on a sideways half pipe. Best lines through these obstacles are either a straight line through the very dead middle of the volcano. You can utilize the stripes on the board to get yourself a perfectly straight line, and that will mitigate the side-to-side movement marbles have as they go across the line. The further you are from that straight line in the center, the more the marbles will change direction as they go across the line. If your marbles are not in a straight line as you approach the volcano, there is another way you can get through with a pretty good amount of accuracy. What you'll need to do is aim for the side of the volcano, and that will get all the marbles in on the same line and allow them to progress in a straight line across the volcano, going from one side to the other. You will need to path out volcanoes in advance before you cross them, so you know exactly what you need to do on these volcanoes. There is one more trick you can utilize with a volcano, and that is stopping on the edge. If your marbles are not together, you can hold one directional and correct with the other, either hold forward and correct to the side or hold the side and correct forward, and you can actually get the marbles to group up as there is a small bend halfway up the arm on the volcano. Just be careful though, as you go across the volcano, you need a little more speed to get over that top hill, which will require some correction in the other direction. One more use for these volcanoes is actually a full 180 degree. It might be a little hard to show you guys on this particular setup, but I'll give it my best shot. If we come in from one side, we can actually do a full 180 around the bowl shape of the top of the volcano. If you ever have a volcano between two corners, you can actually use the bowl to reverse the direction of the marbles entirely, going in a 180 degree, either stopping on the arms or just going straight across the top of the bowl. But either way, get familiar with the volcanoes and find the perfect lines to get through that obstacle. And that is how I do it. This has been our second video of our Know Your Tiles series. Thank you all for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for the next one, the Teen Green.